go with the wheel, the lever, and fire. And after the singularity arrives, he says, our human-machine civilization will proceed with the final step in that trend, fulfilling our ultimate destiny, changing the structure of the universe itself. In 1962, an odd little book of essays was published under the title The Scientist Speculates, an anthology of partly baked ideas. A partly baked idea, or PBI, is either a speculation, a question of some novelty, a suggestion for a novel experiment, a stimulating analogy, or, rarely, a classification, the editor I.J. Jack Good wrote in the first essay in the book. The bakedness of an idea should be judged by its potential value, the chance that it can be completely baked, its originality, interest, stimulation, conciseness, lucidity, and liveliness. It is often better to be stimulating and wrong than boring and right. The rest of the book comprises over 120 short essays with titles like Deliberate Misplints, Robotic Croquet, Winking at Computers, Precognition and Reversed Causality, and A Theory Which Is Impossible to Believe If True. The first and last of these written by Good, who described himself as the perpetrator of the book. Other contributors included illustrious scientists, Eugene Wigner, Michael Polanyi, John Maynard Smith, authors, Arthur Koestler, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, at least one famous crackpot, Herbert Dingle, and a few people who wished to remain anonymous. One or two of the essays went on to be classics in their fields, most of the rest were quickly forgotten. By the time that book was published, Good had already been working with computing machines for 20 years. During World War II, the young Good joined the code-breaking team at Bletchley Park upon finishing his Ph.D. in mathematics at Cambridge. Shortly after arriving, the leader of the team, Alan Turing, caught Good napping on the job rather than breaking Nazi codes. But Good quickly found his way into Turing's favor by solving a code-breaking problem that Turing himself hadn't managed to crack. "I thought that I had tried that," Turing sheepishly said to Good upon his success. After the war, Good bounced between academia, government, and think tanks, ultimately landing at Virginia Tech a few years after The Scientist Speculates was published, and staying there for the rest of his long life. But throughout his career, Good had been intrigued by the possibilities that computers, and especially artificial intelligence, might hold for humanity. In a book review Good wrote in 1951, he theorized that a superhuman machine thinking for itself could serve as a modern oracle. The threshold between a machine which was the intellectual inferior or superior of a man would probably be reached if the machine could do its own programming, he wrote. He returned to this theme several times over the years, including in one of his numerous contributions to The Scientist Speculates titled The Social Implications of Artificial Intelligence, where he wrote that once a computer is built that is itself able to design a better computer, there would unquestionably be an explosive development in science. He even provided a prediction of when he thought this would come to pass. He said it was likely to happen by 1978 and would cost around $500 million, give or take a power of 10. Good called that cheap at the price. He elaborated on this idea in a longer article in 1965, Speculations Concerning the First Ultra-Intelligent Machine. The survival of man depends on the early construction of an ultra-intelligent machine. Let an ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Since the design of machines is one of these intellectual activities, an ultra-intelligent machine could design even better machines. There would then unquestionably be an intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Thus, the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make, provided that the machine is docile enough to tell us how to keep it under control. Good wasn't the only one to have this idea. The concept of a superintelligent machine had been entertained by his old boss, Turing, as well as AI pioneers Ray Solomonoff and Marvin Minsky, the latter of whom also contributed 2 essays to The Scientist Speculates, and later mentored a young student at MIT named Ray Kurzweil. More generally, the concept of technological acceleration leading to a singularity was arguably developed by John von Neumann, the legendary mathematician and physicist. Von Neumann worked with early computing machines on the Manhattan Project and created the basic architecture that all electronic computers still use today. He also wrote one of the first modern treatises on self-replicating machines. After von Neumann's untimely death at 53 in 1957, his friend Stanislav Ulam, also a renowned mathematician and physicist, wrote a lengthy obituary for him.